Hello YouTube, I am back again with a second Arduino tutorial. Well, not really a second, but you know what I mean. I have something new I wanted to show. I want to shed some light on a very obscure microcontroller that exists somehow, but I don't think it should exist, but it does. I give you the CH552, a Chinese-made controller with terrible software support. And it has some flaws that I want to talk about before I get to working with this. Yes, there is a way to program this in Arduino, and I'm the first one to talk about it on YouTube. No one else seems to know or want to dig to find out. There is actually a way to program this in Arduino. I am actually recording this video at the same time I recorded the last one, so that's why this last window here is open. I don't need this one anymore, I can just close it. This is the one I had before. I forgot to close it before starting this. Sorry about that. But this controller here, made in China. I think the company is WCH. A certain seller on AliExpress, which is a Chinese shopping website where anyone around the world can buy stuff from China. And I got that, and I get this from here by a company called WeAct Studio. Now, they have an STM32 board. I got it from a reseller, but the bootloader they put on it was very bad. So I do not recommend buying certain things from this company, as it may be not easy to program them. The STM board I got, I'll have to talk about it in another video. It had a bootloader on it. It wouldn't give me a port on Arduino, and I couldn't get the drivers to work. An official STM driver that was like not installing correctly. Maybe the company didn't think about making it Windows 10 users enough, I don't know, but they didn't try, so it took me forever to get it working. Oh, my finger's slipping, hang on. But this thing here is even worse. It's a kind of a mess, actually. Now, I do not recommend plugging this in using the actual USB bootloader on this. Use an FTDI adapter, it's more safer. It won't send weird single-screen computer and download weird drivers, and you're most likely to get it to work easier. As long as you get the right wiring. Now this controller here, I want to talk about a few things before I get to programming this. This controller has one common quirk that a bunch of other types of controller has, two unique quirks only this controller has, and one major flaw that makes this thing a house of the program. We'll start with the common quirk. This controller suffers a problem that most, if not all, ARM-based CPUs suffer from. Each interface, SPI, I2 or I2 sorry, I said I squared C. I'm usually used to saying I2C because it's easier to say. Sorry, I meant to say I squared C. I call it I2C because it's easier for me to say. I'm sorry. So, like for example, the Raspberry Pi Pico and a bunch of STM32 boards, and maybe some Atmel ARM boards. All these controllers have like the serial interfaces, SPI, I2C, UART. They may have multiple interfaces of each other, but each interface, one or more, has multiple sets of pins that connects to each port. But only one of those pins seems to work. None of the other ones do, which I don't like. So I have to plug a bunch of wires in, if you know the pinout, to find the right one that actually functions with the interface. This controller, and most if not all ARM-based processors, have that same issue. Hang on, my hand's a little sweaty, I gotta wipe it off. I got sweaty hands. Oh my god. And now for the two unique quirks to this controller. The first one being, for example, the ESP32 and ARM processors, and AVR chips with a bootloader on them, you can program them using the first serial port on these, UART. As long as you enter program mode and have proper software that supports it. But this uses UART1, the second port, not UART0. This uses the second port to program. And there is the second quirk of this controller and only this controller, and maybe some other ones that are similar to it. You cannot enter program mode while the controller is powered. You must hold down the boot button or connect the pin to a supply for 3.3 volts if you want to enter a program before you power it. Hang on just a minute. I got hackers hacking my computer. Give me just a few seconds, please. And they go away when I look at the screen. Ha ha. Very funny. Stupid idiots. Yes, I called hackers stupid, okay? Like, they are because they don't know how to leave people alone. It just means this is bad people. They shouldn't have the right to live. I know it's too hard to say, but they're bad people. They should be in prison, punished, and everything done to them for what they do to other people. They're bad people. Don't trust them. Don't be friends with them. Get rid of them. Anyway, back to what I was saying. But there is one major flaw in this controller that makes it kind of a hassle to work with. I don't know if it's the seller I got it from put a bootloader on it that is kind of crappy, or if it was just like that in general. Program mode only stays active for 9 seconds. If you were to power the pin directly that activates program mode, bootloader program mode, you keep the program mode active. Every time you reset the controller, that 9 seconds gets reset, so you can keep it in program mode longer. Let me just grab a little wire out of my big box here. You got to use a wire like this, a female to female jumper wire. Connects the power supply to the pin on here. Pin 36 is the pin on this one. This controller, I had to put 5 volts to the 5 volt pin. Sorry, it's not focusing for some reason. I don't know why it's not focusing, but you gotta put 5 volt in here. I tried putting 3 volt, it wouldn't work. You gotta put 5 volt in here to get it to work. And you gotta use the 3 volt pin to connect to this pin right here to keep the program mode active. But I'm gonna demonstrate right now. It will not stay in program mode for 9 seconds, for more than 9 seconds. And it won't enter it if it already is in running mode. Yes, I have a lot of stuff I want to cover before I actually can show you how to program this. I'm sorry about that. But you have to know this so you know how hard it is to work with this controller. If I plug in my FTDI adapter with the controller wire to it, I connect the pin that holds this pin in place. It is going to exit program mode on its own in like a few seconds. The light will start. See that it exited on its own. The light is flashing. The light is always on in program mode. It's like I think it's a pull-up resistor that is always being active or something in program mode. I don't know why, but no matter how many times we say that wire connected to it, it will not re-enter program mode unless I, of course, unplug it and plug it back in. But if I were to keep pushing that reset button, as long as I keep that pin powered, it will stay active for longer. This controller only has 16 kilobytes of program space, which is half the space of an Arduino Uno. There are some Arduino Nano boards using the 18 mega 168 chip that has the same amount of memory. 16 kilobytes of program space. A little over 2 kilobytes is being used for the bootloader. So be aware of that. You don't have all the space available. But this has 2 banks of RAM. You have a half a kilobyte primary RAM and a 1 kilobyte secondary RAM. It's kind of a strange mix of it, but it's kind of weird, I guess. Now I'm gonna show you how to program this, but you must install another board package in Arduino before you can use this. Yes, it is possible to program an Arduino, although the board is not finished. It is possible. I'm gonna pull up the GitHub page. If I remember, I'll put it in the description of the video. If I remember to do so. I might forget. Let me know in the comments if I forget, if I don't find out myself. But let's go to GitHub. And I think it's this one right here, I think. I think it's this one. There's actually multiple sources that have this, but only one of them has an active release. I have found so far, if I want to download a board to Arduino, if it doesn't have an active release, even though it has a download link, it is not going to let you download it. It must have an active release to work. I don't know if that's changed, but from my experience, I need to have an active release available on here or it won't work. As you can see, there's an active release here, meaning this is a functional package. But there is a little problem. It is not 100% finished. It is not C++ compatible. It's pure C, I believe. But it has a few functions missing as listed in the description down below. And here is the link you need to copy in blue into your library manager under preferences. And here you go to Arduino and you click on File. You go to Preferences. I mean, a lot of people probably already know about this. And there's other videos that tell you how to get to this, but just in case you don't know, you go into Preferences under File, you click where it says Additional Board Manager URLs, you click this box here to expand it. You post your link right here, in this box. You press Enter to move to the next line, like this. But, the link here is on their GitHub page. I will try my best to remember to link it, to put it in the video description. Now, there's a little thing with the software that makes it kind of weird. Let me see where it says where the other libraries is not fully developed. I don't remember where it's at, but I don't remember where it's at. It's a thing on here that says that it's missing a few functions like the shifting functions and some other ones, but it should have almost all the support available, including regular GPIO management, PWM, and it should have SPI. And see, there's a little thing. This controller, you can't use serial.print. It has its own special version for printing. And it's like not normal. You can find more information about it on their GitHub page. I probably should be just taking all the time explaining this. I'll let you go look at it in the description if I remember to put the link in here. But yeah, this here is a board you want to use by, I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, Deckwing Sun, or is it Deckwing Soon? I know it's not an English word. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I hope everyone understands. It said it's a fork from this one right here by 10bat. 10bat, but as you can see, this is a completely different library. Used it for STM8 processors, which is 8-bit STM32s. I will tell something about that later if I need to. But anyway, back to the Arduino board. So, I do not recommend using the USB port on this. So, I have a lot of boards on here. You want to use this one right here. Check your board. CH552 is the one I have. But do not use the USB port on this. There may not be a good driver to download, if even a good one at all. And it may be hard to find a driver. I just use a little CH340 FTDI adapter. You can use whatever adapter you want if you prefer. But this is the one I'm using. Make sure your logic level is set to 3 volts and your power supply is 5 volts. Oh my goodness, I lost a little jumper on this. Oh wait, here it is. I found a jumper. Let's gotta put it back on. Hang on. Sorry. I dropped my little jumper for this. That came with this. This came with 2 jumpers. One for the logic supply and one that was connecting both the serial port pins together. Probably for protection or something. But I just keep it just in case I could use it for something later. So, here's the thing. Make sure you have a wire. See, some versions don't have a push button like this one does in WeAct Studio. But make sure you have a jumper wire from 3 volts going to pin 36. This has a weird way of noting the pins, but the common way to... It's kind of weird how this notes the pins, and I think it's explained in the GitHub page. Remember, it's the one from Deckwing's Son. There's another one by a different person with the same name, but it's unfinished. I do not recommend looking at that one. So, keeping this wire plugged in, you gotta, oh, I'm forgetting, the code reason here is not gonna work on this. Let's just get the standard blink code out. I have took the standard blink code myself, and I stripped it down to the very basics. This specific board has a user LED on pin 30. Make sure you have this set to pin 30 as your LED pin. It does not have an LED built-in decoration. It will fail the upload process if you try LED built-in. Gotta have a number. Or regular blink code will work fine as long as you change anything that says LED built-in to have the number 30 in it. Oh, one more thing I forgot to do. Since I'm using an FTDI adapter, you want to choose upload method to serial, like that, or it won't work. I'm doing this because I don't like using the USB plug. I don't trust it on this one. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm afraid to. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you the wiring. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard day today. So here's your wiring. This controller, like I said earlier, there are 2 ports. They have 2 sets of pins each, or one set of those pins work. You gotta set it to UART1. Your TX pin from your converter goes to pin 16 on RX. Your RX pin goes to pin 17. Wait, is this a wrong pin? Okay. TX to pin 16, RX to pin 17. That is what your pins you need to program this. We plug in our FTDI adapter. We make sure we press this button every 5 seconds or time out like in 10 seconds. 9 seconds. And it won't upload. So you unplug it again. Make sure the port is selected while keeping pressing that reset button on there before it resets. Click upload and keep pushing that reset button. I know I said it 3 times with it, but you just keep tapping it until this gets close to the end, the upload bar, and you can let it go. And it will see an upload the output menu. Come on, hurry up, people, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Hurry up. It will start uploading out here. It's uploading just fine. It will look like this when it's uploading. And now we have the standard blink sketch on here. But there is another thing we can do. We can use PWM on that same pin. Let me find the right, gotta find it. We can use a pulse width modulation or PWM to control that pin, like this. You see, you set it to pin 30, just like the solid blink one. This is a basic test I made to test pulse width modulation on any pin that has ports on any controller. And all I do, I define my number, I define some values to keep track of. A current value, a delay value, and how fast I want it to go. Reversing it to reverse it. I set up my pin mode and set it to active low. Let me find my we go down and see I go in a main loop. I keep track of that value. If it hits a certain value, I reverse it. And I do it on the highest level and the lowest level. Then down here, in the middle one, if it's in reverse mode or not, it will increment or decrement the value as needed. And here, it's prevented from overflowing. If it overflows, the LED may flicker at the farthest point. I set the analog value, then I delay it by my delay value up here. Now let me unplug this because I can't enter program mode while it's running. Unplug it with the wire still plugged in. Hit upload. While still make sure it stays in program mode. Waiting for this thing to hurry up. Excuse me. Any day now. Okay, now it's uploading it now. And as we can see, it will begin to slowly fade that LED in and out. It has pulse modulation, working just fine. And there's one more thing I want to show you we can do with this weird controller. Now there's a chance that my board may be defective, but it stays in program for right 9 seconds. You might have a different experience with your board depending on where you get it from or how it's manufactured. I don't know why mine does that, but I am able to keep it maintained. I keep that wire powered and keep pushing the reset button. So, this here is flashing the LED and testing the serial output at the same time. This does not use the standard serial.begin function. It's serial_begin. We have a number that keeps track of how many times the LED flashed. We have our pin we kept the LED on. In the setup, we begin the serial port. We use the serial 1 on here, which is the second port, not the USB serial or serial 0. This is serial 1. We set our LED pin to be an output. Down here, we flash it for half a second, and we turn it off. We increment the powder, we increment the counter. Sorry, I can't speak for some reason. Then we print, it has flashed so and so times, then we delay it. So let me just, and now let's upload this. It will not work if you just use plain serial. It must be serial 1, serial 0, or USB serial _begin, not .begin. The baud rate thing is still the same. It's just a different format they had to use to make it work, as they couldn't use C++ drivers with this. It's a little weird, I know, but it's some sort of thing they had to do with developing the board for this. And now, it will begin flashing the LED. It prints to the serial. I'm sorry for that blue light being so bright on there. I'm gonna see the light flashing on here? It's printing out to a serial monitor. If we go into the serial monitor, we can see it is indeed counting. Let me reset it so it goes back to the beginning and clear the output. Maybe. Now there is actually a major bug with this library. I am currently contacting them on GitHub about seeing if they can resolve it. I sent them a screenshot of the code in the output window as they requested. I'm just waiting for a reply. But as you can see, there is actually a bug. Let me disable scrolling. There is a bug in this board driver. It will randomly add the number 10 to an integer output, just at random times. Let me go back up to the top here. I actually cleared it before we set it, but as you can see, starting from 1 to 7. Can you spot the issue here? It's a bug in it's a bug in the board package in the software support. I think they're gonna fix it if they see my thing. It counts it normally, then it suddenly adds the number 10 to the value. 7, 18, 19, then 10. Instead of 7, 8, 9, 10. Once the digit rolls over, it goes back to normal until a little later down, it glitches again. At the bottom here, where it goes 20, 21, 22, 23. Where it should go 24, it goes to 34. Once it goes, where my cursor at? Once it hits 30, it actually goes normally until at another point where it jumps up to 40 all of a sudden. Then it goes back to normal. Or maybe it will just suddenly skip to 50 and... Okay, that is actually very strange. It started at 30, then 40, then it jumps to 50 instead of being 40. So then you can't print integers out this without it glitching. Text works fine, but integers, no. They're glitchy. There is a specialized function designed for integer numbers. You just gotta take this right here and put an underscore and the letter I right there to turn into an specific function. But I have tested that. It doesn't make a difference with the bug that's suddenly adding number 10. This package is still a work in progress, so it's not gonna be perfect. But I think they will eventually fix it soon. But it does work very well. One more thing before I go. This board has one SPI interface and two serial interfaces, but no I2C. So if you're hoping to drive a little small OLED of this or a little sensor that uses only 2 wires, you need to software emulate the interface. BitBang I2C is what I think it's called. So you gotta software emulate the I2C interface on this. But other than that, it seems like it's an okay controller, even though the RAM management on it is kind of terrible. It will tell you what to do to get the RAM management for a larger data buffer. And then the GitHub page. Well, that's all I have to show you for this wonderful abomination today. There is another one I wanted to get. That is the CH552. There is an Arduino board being developed, but it's not finished yet. But it is on GitHub. But I will go to that point when it's fully developed. It is not done yet. It's still way far down. And it may not support a specific board until a long time anyway. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you can be able to use this board now in the United States on Arduino, a platform this chip was not intended for, but it works fine. But it's just because I don't know why China makes all these wonderful looking controllers, but they forget the most important thing about these controllers: the ability to program them the way you want them to be. If you can't program them, you might as well throw them away. They're useless if you can't use them. But since this shit works, and I will use it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little long and a little slow. And I was trying to cover a bunch of stuff about this controller. I hope I didn't make it too much. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time in the next video. Peace out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.